Mom kept things forever. She would give them back to the food and from that, Pam mentioned that she was a hospital secretary. She was a hospital secretary when I was in school. And that's not a lot of fun. But some years ago, she brought me my hospital transcripts that she would say for those years. And it wasn't very good. She would probably remember this. When I graduated from pilot training in the Air Force, the mission was you did not wear the wings that they gave you. So Mom and Dad, I gave the wings to her. A few years later, when I retired, she just gave them back to me. So that was just a couple of examples of kind of thing she did. Sure, and yes, another thing that we did 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that she had a way of giving it right back to you. And she kind of split it sometimes that she did it too. The only other thing I like to say, her family, up there.
Mama.
But it is, and I am grateful from my heart. Forever grateful. So.
Anyone else want to get up and share a little bit? This will be the time.
And most importantly, Esther Peterson was born in 1908. 1908 was a really, really, really good year. Some of the things that she got to live through were 1908, the first Mother's Day observance. They did that for her. They knew she would be a mother. They knew she would be a grandmother. 1908, first passenger flight in an airplane. They didn't even have airlines when she was born. It was amazing that people still had outhouses. They didn't have running water in their houses. The first Model T car rolled off the assembly line in 1908. So what would she have been without cars? Thank God for Henry Ford, because he did a huge service for grandmother. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were killed in 1908. We thought it was so long ago. It really wasn't. Picasso started the modern art movement. The vacuum cleaner was invented. I don't know how much grandmother got to use that, but it was invented in 1908. Now, when she was 10, I kind of took everything in 10-year increments. When she was 10 years old, World War I was just winding down. The Warner Brothers built their first studio. Okay. Let's see, I have more notes on this, but I don't want to bore you with these details. The television was invented in the 20s. People didn't watch TV. But television was invented in the 20s. So, and also the radio. They weren't, when she was just born, people weren't even listening to the radio back then. I don't know what they did. Do you know? Does anyone know what they read? When she was 20 years old, they invented antibiotics. That's a huge thing. She got to see people, you know, being cured in her lifetime. The first movies, when she was 20-year-old, the first talking movie was on. When she was, can you imagine her going to see the first talking movie when she was 20 years old? That's a big deal. Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, when she was 20 years old. More importantly, she met one of the most important events in her life was when she met Granddaddy. That was 1928. Best I can figure, she got married actually when she was 22. And Granddaddy was the love of her life. You could just see, they just loved each other so much. They just loved each other. It's so nice to see two people really caring and loving each other. She lived through the Depression, and that was 1929. Benny Goodman, when she was 30, she could have been going to listen to Benny Goodman dancing with Granddaddy. Can you imagine her dancing with Granddaddy? That would have been so fun to see. Did they dance? Did you ever see them dancing? They didn't dance. There's something that just happened with my son, and I didn't know. Now that I'm married and have kids, I can really appreciate grandmother even more. My son and I studied about World War II, and I didn't know how big a deal World War II was, and that must have been so huge for grandmother to be willing to give up her husband and take care of her two young boys. And more importantly, she dealt with the hardship of war after Granddaddy came back. And I know you had a hard time with that, but you never heard her complain. I don't think I ever heard grandmother complain about anything. That's one of the striking things about grandmother that I remember. She just moved on with it. You never complained. She just got on with her life and just lived it. Let's see what else we can tell you about. 1948, when she was 40 years old. That's when the first televised musical was on TV. So when she was 40, when she was younger than me, but in her 40s, they were just starting to watch TV. Can you imagine not having TV or radio? It's just amazing that she lived through that too. Let's see what else we've got. The Barbie doll. When she was 50 years old, they were inventing the Barbie doll, which I imagine she gave you some Barbie dolls, right? In the span of 1955 through 1963, saw her grandchildren coming into play, and the grandchildren, as you were talking about, were of huge importance to grandmother. Also, she lived through President Kennedy's assassination. She lived through Watergate, landing on the moon, those pesky Carter years. It's just, it's the rise and fall of communism, the fall of communism. It's just amazing. I don't know that we're going to see such the discovery of DNA. I don't know that we're going to see such big changes in our lifetime. That's kind of what I wanted to say was, when I look back and marvel at the things she got to see and the things she got to do, I know that she was probably thrilled that she was alive during the time she was. And I'm just so proud that I got to know her, and I got to know her better in my older years. And so I have a little different perspective because I wasn't there